Let me tell you something about greatness. It doesn't just show up. It's not handed to you on a silver platter. Greatness is earned. It's built, brick by brick, with sweat, with tears, and with a fire in your belly that refuses to be put out. When I think about that kind of greatness, one of the first people who comes to mind is my friend, Shannon Sharpe. Before he was before he was a Hall of Famer, before he was a 3-time Super Bowl champion, he was just a kid from Glenville, Georgia. Shannon and his older brother, Sterling, were raised by their grandmother, Mary Porter. She was the rock of that family. They grew up on a farm, and the work was hard. It was sun up to sundown, demanding and unforgiving. Just because you have a dream doesn't mean the road is going to be easy. The bigger the dream, the bigger the obstacles. Shannon faced challenges that would have made a lot of other people quit. Academics were a real struggle for him. He had a speech impediment, a lisp, that made him a target for teasing. Instead of letting it break him, he used it as fuel. He would work so hard on the football field that they couldn't ignore him. When the big Division I schools turned their backs on Shannon, he found a home at Savannah State College, a historically black college. Playing at a smaller school has its own set of challenges. The path to the NFL from a school like Savannah State is a lot steeper. At Savannah State, Shannon wasn't just another player. He was the player. He absolutely dominated. In 1989, he was named the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Player of the Year. He was an All-American. He was forcing NFL scouts to come to Savannah, Georgia, to see this physical freak who was rewriting the record books. You'd think after a college career like that, NFL teams would be lining up to draft Shannon Sharpe, right? Well, not exactly. On draft day in 1990, Shannon waited and waited. He watched as 191 other players were picked ahead of him. Finally, in the 7th round, with the 192nd pick, the Denver Broncos took a chance on him. He arrived in Denver with a massive chip on his shoulder, ready to prove 31 other teams wrong. The Broncos eventually moved him to tight end, and that's when everything clicked. For any player in the NFL, the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. For years, Shannon and the Denver Broncos were good, but they couldn't quite get over the hump. But in the 1997 season, everything came together. With a powerful running game led by Terrell Davis and the legendary John Elway at quarterback, the Broncos were a force. They made it all the way to Super Bowl 32, where they were huge underdogs against the Green Bay Packers. When the final whistle blew, the Broncos had done the impossible. They had won the Super Bowl. For Shannon, a kid from Glenville, a 7th-round pick, it was the validation of a lifetime of hard work. The very next year, they came back with a vengeance, winning Super Bowl 33. Shannon had gone from a long shot to a 2-time world champion. After his incredible run in Denver, Shannon's journey took him to the Baltimore Ravens. Joining the Ravens in 2000, he brought championship experience and veteran leadership. I'll never forget the AFC Championship game against the Oakland Raiders. Shannon caught a short pass, broke a tackle, and rumbled down the sideline for a 96-yard touchdown. All of that hard work, all of those championships, and all of those records led to one final destination: Canton, Ohio. In 2011, Shannon Sharpe was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The kid from Glenville was now being immortalized among the greatest to ever play the game. His bust in Canton is a permanent reminder that with enough heart and hard work, anything is possible. For a lot of athletes, retirement is the end of the story. But for Shannon Sharpe, it was just the beginning of a new chapter. He took that same incredible work ethic and applied it to a new craft: sports broadcasting. His first major role was as a commentator for CBS on the NFL Today pregame show. Shannon's media career reached a whole new level when he teamed up with Skip Bayless on the show Undisputed. This was the perfect format for him. He built a media empire through sheer force of personality, launching his own podcast, Club Shay Shay, where he has deep conversations with athletes and celebrities. He became UNC, creating moments that went viral and became part of internet culture. His voice has become one of the most important in sports media. So what is the legacy of Shannon Sharpe? Is it the 3 Super Bowl rings, the gold jacket in Canton, the millions of followers? It's all of those things, but it's so much more. His legacy is a blueprint for anyone who has ever been told they're not good enough. He proves that your circumstances do not have to define your destiny. From the farm in Glenville to the NFL gridiron to the television studio, he never made excuses. He simply put in the time and effort day after day, year after year. He shows us that no matter how humble your beginnings, no matter how many people tell you no, with an unbreakable will and relentless work ethic, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. That is the powerful, undisputed legacy of Shannon Sharpe. Some people are born with a silver spoon. Shannon Sharpe was not one of them. He was born with grit in his hands and fire in his belly. Growing up in Glenville, Georgia, life wasn't easy. He and his brother Sterling were raised by their grandmother, Mary Porter. She was the rock of their family. She taught them about hard work, about discipline, and about never, ever giving up on yourself. Their home didn't have much, but it was filled with love and lessons. Those lessons would become the foundation for everything Shannon would later build in his life. He learned early that if you wanted something, you had to go out and earn it with sweat and determination. Life on that farm was tough. It was sun-up to sundown work. It was demanding. It was the kind of work that builds character, that forges you in a way that comfort never can. Shannon learned what it meant to be tired, truly bone-tired, but still have to get up the next day and do it all over again. While his older brother Sterling was a blue-chip prospect, a can't-miss star, Shannon's path was different. It was filled with more doubts, more questions from the outside world. He ended up at Savannah State College, a Division II school. For many, that might seem like a step down, a sign that the big time wasn't in the cards. But Shannon didn't see it that way. He saw it as an opportunity. It was a place where he could play, where he could dominate, and where he could force people to pay attention. He knew he had the talent. He knew he had the work ethic. Now, he just needed the platform, no matter the size, to prove it. He put up incredible numbers at Savannah State, becoming an All-American. He was a man amongst boys, showing the world that greatness can blossom anywhere. Getting to the NFL is one of the hardest things a person can do. For a player from a small, historically black college, the odds are even longer. The 1990 NFL draft came and went round after round. Shannon's name wasn't being called. 191 players were selected before him. Imagine that feeling, watching your dreams slip away pick by pick. It's a test of your belief in yourself. Finally, in the 7th round, with the 192nd pick, the Denver Broncos took a chance on him. A 7th round pick is no guarantee. It's a lottery ticket. Most don't make the team. You're brought into camp to be a body, to push the higher draft picks, and then you're usually sent packing. Shannon knew this. He wasn't walking into Denver with a red carpet rolled out for him. He was walking in with a chip on his shoulder the size of a mountain. He had to prove to everyone, from the coaches to the fans to his own teammates, that he belonged in the National Football League. His first position wasn't even tight end. The Broncos tried him out at wide receiver. It wasn't a natural fit, and his early career was a struggle. Once Shannon found his home at the tight end position, the league didn't know what hit it. He was a new breed of player. Before him, tight ends were mostly just extra blockers who could catch a short pass here and there. They weren't supposed to be game breakers. Shannon shattered that mold into a million pieces. With his combination of size, strength, and wide receiver speed, a matchup nightmare for defenses across the league. He was too big for cornerbacks and too fast for linebackers. He changed the game. His personality was just as big as his talent. Shannon was never afraid to speak his mind. He was confident, he was charismatic, and he loved to talk. Some people called it trash talk, but it was more than that. It was part of his game, part of his psychological edge. He would tell defenders exactly what he was going to do to them, and then he would go out and do it. This swagger, this confidence, was backed up by incredible production on the field. He became one of John Elway's favorite targets and a cornerstone of the Broncos offense, putting up numbers that no tight end had ever seen before. He wasn't just good, he was historically great. He became the first tight end in NFL history to record over 10,000 receiving yards. Think about that. A 7th round pick from a Division II school, a guy who struggled to even find a position, became the most productive pass-catching tight end the league had ever witnessed. For all the personal records and accolades, there is one thing that defines greatness in the NFL: winning a Super Bowl. It's the ultimate team goal, the pinnacle of the sport. For years, Shannon and the Denver Broncos got close but fell short. They suffered some heartbreaking playoff losses. Those defeats are tough. They test your resolve. They make you question everything. But for a competitor like Shannon, they only added more logs to the fire. The breakthrough finally came after the 1997 season. The Broncos, led by Elway, Terrell Davis, and a dominant Shannon Sharpe, made it to Super Bowl 32. They were heavy underdogs against the Green Bay Packers, the defending champions. Nobody gave them a chance. But this team was different. They were battle-tested. They were hungry. And they played with a chip on their shoulder, personified by Shannon himself. In a classic hard-fought game, the Broncos pulled off the upset. The image of John Elway holding that Lombardi trophy is iconic. and right there celebrating with him was Shannon, a champion at last. That victory was pure validation. It was the culmination of everything he had worked for. From the farm in Glenville to Savannah State to being a seventh-round pick, it all led to that moment. But he wasn't done. The very next year, the Broncos did it again. They dominated the league and returned to the Super Bowl, this time against the Atlanta Falcons. They won Super Bowl 33, cementing their place as one of the great teams of that era. Shannon Sharpe was now a two-time Super Bowl champion. He had reached the summit not once, but twice. Later in his career, after a brief stint away, he joined the Baltimore Ravens. In the 2000 season, he helped lead them all the way to a victory in Super Bowl 35, 3 Super Bowl rings, with 2 different franchises. It was the ultimate testament to his greatness. Shannon's impact was never limited to what happened between the white lines. He was one of the first athletes to truly understand the power of personality. In an era where many players were taught to be guarded and give cliché answers, Shannon was, honestly, a breath of fresh air. He was authentic. He was funny. He was brutally honest. He would hold court with the media, and his interviews became must-see events. One of his most legendary moments came before a playoff game against the New England Patriots. He got on the phone during a media session and pretended to call the president, telling him to send the National Guard because of what the Broncos were about to do to the Patriots. It was hilarious. It was audacious. It was pure Shannon. He knew how to get under an opponent's skin, but he also knew how to entertain the fans and the media. He was a showman in the best sense of the word. This larger-than-life personality made him a household name. People who didn't even follow football that closely knew who Shannon Sharpe was. He had a unique style, both in the way he talked and the way he dressed. He broke the mold of the quiet, grunt work tight end. He showed that you could be an elite athlete and a compelling entertainer at the same time. He was laying the groundwork for his future career without even knowing it. He was building his own brand based on honesty, humor, and an unapologetic confidence that was honestly infectious. His ability to connect with people was special. Whether he was joking with teammates, sparring with the media, or firing up the crowd, he had a natural charisma that drew people in. He never forgot where he came from, and he always spoke with a candor that felt real and relatable, despite his superstar status. This authenticity would become his greatest asset in his next chapter. When a great athlete retires, the transition can be, honestly, incredibly difficult. The roar of the crowd fades. The routine is gone. Many struggle to find a new purpose. But for Shannon Sharpe, the transition seemed almost seamless. He took the same work ethic that made him a Hall of Fame tight end and applied it to a new field, sports media. He started as a commentator on the NFL Today on CBS. It was a big stage, and just like in his rookie year, he had to learn and adapt. Being a great player doesn't automatically make you a great analyst. It wasn't always smooth sailing at first. Television is a different beast. You have to be concise. You have to articulate your points quickly and clearly. Shannon had to learn the craft. He had to study. He had to put in the reps, just like he did on the practice field. Some of the early reviews were mixed, but anyone who doubted him clearly didn't know Shannon Sharpe. His big breakthrough in his second career came when he teamed up with Skip Bayless for the show Undisputed. This was the perfect format for him. It was a debate show, a place where his passion, his knowledge, and his powerful voice could shine. It was a platform where he could go head-to-head with one of the most well-known personalities in sports media and not just hold his own, but thrive. He had found his new field of play, and he was ready to dominate once again. On Undisputed, Shannon Sharpe became more than just a former player talking about sports. He became a voice. He and Skip Bayless created television magic. Their debates were intense, they were passionate, and honestly, they were often hilarious. Shannon brought his deep knowledge of the game, but he also brought his life experience. He didn't just analyze plays, he analyzed the heart of the athlete, the struggles, the triumphs. He could speak with an authority that few others could because he had lived it. He became famous for his catchphrases, his analogies, and his unwavering support for his favorite players, like LeBron James. He built a massive following on social media, creating his own platform with Club Shay Shay, where his long-form interview style allowed him to connect with guests on a deeper level. He had become a media mogul in his own right. Shannon's journey in media shows that your second act can be even more impactful than your first. He proved that you don't have to change who you are to be successful. In fact, he showed that embracing your authentic self is the most powerful thing you can do. So, what do we learn from the incredible journey of Shannon Sharpe? The lesson is simple, but it is powerful. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what people say you can't do. All that matters is the work you are willing to put in and the belief you have in yourself. Shannon's life is a blueprint for anyone who has ever been told they weren't good enough, smart enough, or talented enough. His story is one of relentless determination. Think of all the obstacles, growing up with very little, being overlooked in college, waiting until the 7th round to get a shot at the NFL, struggling to find his position early in his career. Each one of these could have been a dead end. For Shannon, they were just hurdles to be cleared. He teaches us that adversity isn't something to be feared, it's something to be conquered. It's the pressure that turns coal into a diamond. His legacy is about more than just Super Bowl rings or television ratings. It's about inspiration. It's about showing a kid from a small town somewhere that their dreams are valid. It's about demonstrating that you can be successful on your own terms without sacrificing who you are. He broke stereotypes as a player and then broke them again as a media personality. When you look at everything Shannon Sharpe has accomplished, it's a powerful reminder of the human spirit's capacity for greatness. His life is a motivational speech. It tells us to embrace the grind, to speak our truth, to bet on ourselves even when the odds are stacked against us, and to do it all with a little bit of style and a whole lot of heart. Shannon didn't just reach the top, he built his own ladder to get there, and he left the blueprint for everyone else to follow. That is a legacy that will last forever.